In October 1994 in Switzerland, home of the Nazi Templars, 54 people, among which many children, were brutally murdered in a Satanic Templars ritual of a wannabe New Age Templars club called the Order of the Solar Temple, in French OTS or Ordre du Temple Solaire, and in German Die Sonnentempler. And the whole affair got covered up by the media and the real Octagon Blue Police Army as a collective suicide of some crazy sect. But the members were not crazy at all, counting doctors, millionaires, and classical composers amongst the followers. And in fact, years later, only a very small article of just 3 or 4 lines stated in the newspapers that most were murdered after all. I will tell you why, by whom, and how. Why? Well, first, Pharaoh will never accept people constructing their own society within society, being also one of the reasons the Jews got gassed and murdered. Second, the real Templars of aristocratic descent of the royal pharaonic lineage won't accept any New Age wannabe Templars using their name, and if you do so, you're dead. If you won't listen, and the leaders of these New Agers in their megalomania and narcissistic arrogance just wouldn't listen. Here in the German Spiegel from 1964, you can see how Alexander von Schalcher-Ehrenfeld, of the German aristocracy, a real Templar and Maltese knight, sues German New Age wannabe Templars of the 60s in court. I personally knew descendants of 2 different generations of that von Schalcher-Ehrenfeld and spent weeks together with them and related to Rennes-le-Château of the Templars before taking to their residence in Germany. Von Ehrenfeld means field of honor, and Schalcher sounds very un-German, more likely to Pharaonic or ancient Egypt, where the aristocracy originates from. So you can read the whole article if you can read German. Put in the links for you as well. Just punch pause. Joseph di Mambro got the leadership of the Order of the Solar Templar from Julien Origas in 1983, and this Origas fellow was a real Nazi and a member of the Gestapo and friend of Mussolini, a Nazi leading a Templars group. Nazi Templars. So the Swiss Nazi Templars and their Octagon police were extremely angry seeing one of their Templars organizations in the hands of New Agers, homeopathy doctors, a bunch of dreamers, housewives, and children. So they ordered the Swiss Octagon police of the Nazi Templars to go threaten, terrorize, and infiltrate this New Age club, and finally kill them all in a satanic code O2T soul-lifting ritual with a plastic bag over their heads. See my video about that. And remind you how children make an excellent choice for O2T soul-lifting to Sirius, which stands for Osiris of the Horus Matrix, as the aristocracy or Aryan relates to the pharaonic Ari, from beyond the stars, where A is pregnant in ancient Demotic and Ri is the sun, pregnant sun, and born beyond the stars, such as Sirius. And this is from my channel Gure. This is why in their logo there's a crown, as Templars are aristocrats. The oval of Isis, her womb, oval office, and Vesica Pisces of the Masons. The wings of Isis, or Ma'at, just as Madonna, and TS for Solar Temple, as in Ari, also standing for ST, or Swiss Templars, in service of the Sisters of Isis, Isis, Switzerland. Then the Swiss Order of the Solar Temple had an internal issue about two babies, one being Christ and the other one the Antichrist. And let me tell you, the Swiss really believe they are God's chosen people and superior to the rest of the world, which they even openly announced through their SVP Nazi party, showing other races as animals like black sheep, crows, snakes, and rats. So one of the babies had to go, and a hit team of 4 people from Switzerland was being prepared to ritually murder a 3-month-old baby at Morin Heights, Quebec, Canada. This story about the Swiss Antichrist is very much related with that Swiss descendant of Phileas Walder of the KKK and the man who ordered Albert Pike in the 19th century, where the Swiss Antichrist and descendant of Phileas Walder was going to get born in Jerusalem exactly as 100 years later the OTS Solar Temple was believing. And these people are not crazy. They just know things about which we don't have a clue about, of dark, sinister world of the Alps, full of hidden evil worshipping the forces of darkness. Then, in August 1994, the first Swiss killers flew to Canada to set up a safe house. They were Gérald and Colette Genoux, probably related to the Swiss grey eminence François Genoux, a friend of Adolf Hitler, who founded Islamofascism together with Amin al-Husseini. It's just one big family of Swiss satanic Nazis, and Satanism and Nazism are basically the same thing, most certainly if you look at their achievements. So you can read the whole story. It's all about Switzerland. It's the center of evil. Then on September 29th, 1994, Swiss killer Joel Egger, reminding us of Schwarzenegger, also Egger from the Alps, also exterminator in a way. So Egger joined the hit team, followed up by Dominique Bellaton on another date. And just watch how meticulously Swissy set up the murders, so nobody sees it coming, just as the 2 world wars ordered and financed by the Swiss. Then, after months of patient preparation in October 1994, the Swiss assassins from Octagon were ready to kill the baby. The 4-man Swiss sleeper cell, consisting of 2 men and 2 women, invited the Dutoit family with the baby over for dinner, all smiling through their teeth and doing that clean Swiss neutrality thing. Then they clubbed the father down with a baseball bat. Coing! Slit the mother's throat, and then slowly, ritually sacrificing the baby under evil Swiss incantations before stabbing it in the back 8 times, as for Octagon. Before that, the entire family got tortured through Swiss code O2T with the plastic bag to lift out the soul, just as Swissy does in their prisons and with the next assassinations coming up. Oh yes, Swissy knows what she's doing. And I didn't choose it to be exactly 20 years. I mean, this is not a coincidence. It's real crazy. Exactly 20 years, and now I'm doing this here. The same moment, back in the motherland, Another team of Octagon Swiss assassins were waiting to fulfill the second part of the ritual, only to be executed in order after the baby's fate fulfilled its destiny. So a few days later, in the sinister motherland of Octagon, and founded by the Templars in 1291, a huge satanic ritual started, killing exactly 53 people, and one escaped. Otherwise it would have been 54, among which numerous children performing an ancient ritual hidden behind big walls of the Swiss laws of silence. Just as in 1310, the French king Philippe le Bel burned exactly 54 Knights Templars, and 38 of the 53 plus 1 victims in Switzerland were even officially recorded as being smothered with those plastic bags to lift out the souls for Syrians, and 54 Templars burned at the stakes 680 years before, the 6 for hexagon, the Mason inner circle, and 8 for octagon, the military wing. In fact, all 53 were ritually suffocated, probably similar to the 54 Templars being suffocated before getting burned at the stakes. So they were ritually suffocated for the Swiss O2T ritual. And now also October in 2014, and exactly one generation of precisely 20 years, I've come to tell you this now. Watch out for the number 54 and 54 reincarnated Templar souls used in a satanic ritual, now reaching manhood one generation later, from October 1994 to October 2014. You have no idea what massive amount of evil energy around us the making of this video generates. After the ritual mass murder, the fascist Swiss Octagon police and the corrupt Swiss Justice Department immediately started to work on survivors, witnesses, and family members by falsifying the facts and witness accounts into the murder thesis of a collective suicide by some crazy sect members, by manipulating, putting pressure on interrogated people, twisting their words, and putting fraud witness accounts into the files. This is very common for the corrupt Swiss liar police to do. They always cover up things, just as the recent murder of an entire British family at the Swiss border in Annecy near Geneva, with a Swiss gun, and the actual Nazi murders in Germany by the NSU, National Socialist Underground, well, also with silenced pistols from Switzerland. All over Europe and the entire world, there are Swiss hit teams on the way at this very moment, and totally backed up with a license to kill by the Swiss Nazi authorities.
Daniel Jaton lived here with other members of the order. Although the house might have held vital evidence, police were slow to seal it off.
They only put seals on the place on the 13th of October, so for 8 days anyone could have taken material evidence, or tampered with the evidence.
It wasn't the only delay in the investigation. The Swiss police took 10 weeks to contact one of the French treasurers of the order. She had close links with the cult's leaders and is now too frightened to be identified.
The police were very obvious. They were quite determined to demonstrate it was a matter of a guru and a sect. They asked me if there had been special effects, if I'd been asked to sleep with other members. It was a matter of showing it was a sect. I thought their questions were very narrow. If I said things that did not fit the focus of their investigation, the Swiss police didn't write it down. They said, no, we're not interested in that.